Po. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po.
Today, I will be discussing kung ano yung gagawin natin for the week, no? Currently, we are on the 7th week, no? Dalawang week na lang. We only have 2 weeks, and then the FDDL will be already done, no? So, if that's the case, I think what will happen is week 9 is your finals examination, so most probably requirement na lang yon, no? But then anyway, today I will be discussing kung ano yung dapat natin gagawin for the week. Suppose, di ba, meron tayong live class ng Monday, but then we have an interruption due to the declaration of the family day. So I did not post anything on that. Ngayon, today, I'll be discussing kung ano yung dapat nating gawin, no? Ano yung dapat nating gawin. Tapos may ibibigay ako mga series of example kung ano yung gagawin. Now, hindi tayo magtatagal in our discussion kasi medyo ilan ba yung naka-line up yung dapat gawin. You have 3, no? 3 yung gagawin nyo. So, yung 3 yon, tama ba? Yeah, that's 3 hands-on activity. And that particular 3 hands-on activity, 2 doon is drawing, tapos 1 doon is technical. Okay? So mamaya ipapakita ko ano yung mga kailangan natin gawin. Now, I will be having the deadline. So ibibigay ko yung deadline natin. Ang deadline natin would be until next week kasi 3 siya. No? The disadvantage is that pagka hindi lang natin natapos yung 3 to agad-agad, matatabunan siya ng requirements natin para sa next week. But then anyway, sabi ko nga, your requirement is until next week so that kahit na hindi natin, let's say for example, 2 lang yung natapos natin ngayong week na to, no? The laboratory activity for that particular uploading will not be closed. Hindi siya malalock. So bukas lang siya until next week, no? Ibig sabihin, you have until next week to finish all of that tapos isang upload. Now, if you could finish this soon as time possible, mas maganda. Mas okay. No? Okay, I already computed the grades, no? Meron na kayong grade for midterm, no? But then hindi ko pa nilalagay dito. So I'll be posting it siguro later. O kaya I'll be posting it doon na lang sa teams natin, and then corresponding student number lang. So the student number tapos yung grade nyo. Okay, so we'll see, tignan ko kung what would be better with, kung ano yung much better if I'm going to PM it or isang post lang. So tignan ko na lang. Para if you have clarifications with regards of the computation of grades, if you have corrections, no, those are not yet final. So ibig sabihin, the grades could be altered, pwede pang mabago, no, depending on the clarification and the correction that might arise, no? Okay? So meron pa ba rito hindi nakapag-exam? Meron pa ba? Lahat naman yata nakapag-exam na, no? Okay? So as I recall, halos lahat naman na nakapag-exam. Okay? Now, let's start with ano ba yung dapat natin gawin, no? Okay? So here I am going to share my ito yung gagawin natin. Yung negative space. Right? This is the second pala. Okay. Let me just have this home. This is the laboratory that you're going to create, no? Portrait and facial expression. So, ito yung sabi ko nga sa inyo, medyo madami kayo requirement for this week kasi alam natin na medyo patapos na yung ano, uh, session of FDDL. So, yan, no? So, ang gagawin natin, this is not yet uploaded on the MS Teams, no? So, still nasa Canvas pa rin to. Ililipat ko lang to sa MS Teams natin. So, all you have to do is to create either digital or freehand drawing. So, you have still two options. Kasi syempre, hindi lahat sa atin merong digital tablet. So, you could still make it with your freehand, no? So, portrait, si example, this is with or without color. Ay, ibig sabihin, you may do it even with or without color. So, simple realistic example. So, if we are seeing it as realistic, meaning yung portrait natin, there is somehow uh, alike with a real person, no? Ibig sabihin, yun yung normal na itsura. Okay? Yun yung normal na pagiging realistic ng isang portrait, no? And then you have a simple anime or a cartoon version. Okay? This is also an example of portrait kasi. Okay? So, nasa sa inyo, ano ba instruction ko dito? Ayan. No? This activity needs a total of 1 drawing. Ibig sabihin, pwede kayong mamili either a realistic or a cartoon-like portrait. No? Kasi, since we have different art style, no, I am still considering the different art style that we have, no. So you could choose whether realistic or a cartoon style, no. Wag naman yung cartoon style na mukhang what they call this, Bugs Bunny, yung mga ganun, no. Ganun. Hindi naman mala Warner Brothers and Walt Disney yung datingan, no. So ibig sabihin, we are talking about person, people, no? Yung igagawin natin as portrait. And if we are going to look at as portrait, ang ano lang natin, ang gagawin natin is the head should be visible down to shoulder. Yun lang, no? Okay? Yun lang yung requirement natin. Ito rin ganun. So portrait, no? Now, maybe you're wondering, magtatanong kayo, sir, do we need to make it in front? Kailangan ba naka-front yung itsura nung gagawin ko? Pwede bang naka-side ng konti? Okay? Pwede naman. No? As long as it would look like a portrait. Okay? Walang kaso kung naka-side ng konti. Wag naman nakatalikod. No? Baka naman talagang tinodo nyo na yung pag-side niya, nagmukha na nakatalikod. So, hindi pwede yun. Okay? Ayan. No? Okay? So this is the first requirement. Okay, yan yung unang requirement natin. Tapos, our second requirement is, so ito, no? One lang yung pipiliin natin dito. Okay, so let me go back to home. Then, may papapanood ako sa inyo a discussion about negative space, no? Okay? This video is napaka self-explanatory lang, no? Okay, so ano ko lang para marinig. This is just 8 minutes, no? All you have to do is to pay attention, right, on the video.
For this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit about positive and negative spaces. Maybe you remember the classic faces and faces illusion. If you focus on the face, the white part, that becomes a positive space, which makes the black part become the negative space, because it looks like it's in the background. Yet, if you focus on the faces, the black space, they become the positive space, which pushes the white vase into the background, making it the negative space. Let's take a look at this tree. In this picture, the tree is very clearly the positive space, and the white space in the background is the negative space. The positive and negative space in this picture is perfectly balanced, creating a nice composition. If we zoom in a little bit more, the black space, the tree, is still the positive space, and the white space is still the negative space. Yet, it's unbalanced, the positive and negative space. As a composition, this still works out fine. Last, let's look at this composition. Here we have, again, the tree and the ground as the positive space, and this huge white space that is the negative space. Again, with an unbalanced composition. This is also okay. The imbalance of the positive and negative space actually helps create a different feeling or emotion, possibly lonely, or maybe even a calm feeling. Hopefully this overview has given you a better idea of what positive and negative spaces are. Now we're going to move on to an exercise. When you come to class next time, I want you to draw a stool by drawing only the negative space. Reminder, this is what you will be doing in class. So, here's a picture of a stool from our classroom. I'm going to carefully look for the negative spaces. As you can see, I'm now outlining one of the negative spaces in red, this long, skinny rectangle. I'm carefully trying to recreate that exact same shape on my sketch pad. Now, please make sure that as you are recreating this drawing in your sketchbook, that you make it really, really large so you fill up the whole page. Now I'm moving on to a tiny little negative space that I see below that rectangle. Next, I'm going to move on to the next negative space. Again, a long, skinny rectangle. I'm being very, very careful to make sure that my spacing between the rectangles is fairly accurate. I'm also being very careful to make sure that the lines that should be lined up are properly lined up. Whereas if you look at the top, those lines are not perfectly lined up. As I move on, I once again want to make sure that my spacing is good in between my negative space rectangles that I'm drawing. I'm also double checking the angle of the lines for the top and the bottom of my rectangles. The one on the top is very clearly lined up with the middle rectangle, whereas the one on the bottom has a different angle. It starts to angle down. Now to draw the last couple negative spaces that I see in between the legs of the stool. There's a small rectangle toward the bottom. I'm very carefully making sure that the proper lines of the rectangle are lined up with other lines in other areas. I'm also paying attention to my spacing in between my negative spaces, or my negative shapes. This spacing between these negative shapes is very important in order to keep a nice proportioned negative space drawing. Next, I'm going to move on to the outline of the legs. I want to pay close attention to the length of the legs, and I'm comparing it to my negative spaces up top so that I can get the length just right. I also want to make sure that I have the angles correct. That is, the angles that are connecting the legs to one another. My back leg comes down only a tiny bit. I need to be very careful of that. Notice I'm also being careful of the very, very bottom of the leg and the angles that go into making that. The leg I'm drawing now is the leg that is closest to me. So as you can see, it comes down just a little bit further than the first leg that I started to draw. I can also carefully take the rest of my outline all the way up toward the top of the stool. Once I get my fourth leg in, I can do the same on the left-hand side. Double checking my angles and also double checking to make sure that all of the lines are lined up properly. My final leg comes down just a little bit further than my back leg. So as you can see, all of the legs come down to different areas on my paper. They are not lined up at all. I want to be very, very careful of this because this helps me to show the proper perspective of my stool. Lastly, I'm going to draw the top of the stool. The space at the top of the stool tends to be a little bit bigger than we often think it is, so please be aware of that. Yet the very, very top round part of the stool is quite thin. And oftentimes we can see the back of the stool, which makes it look like it's arching up ever so slightly. Lastly, I'm just going to double check with a ruler to make sure that all of the lines that should be lined up properly are lined up properly. This just helps once again with the proportions of my piece. Now I'm ready to color. Please take one color only and color in the negative spaces as nicely as possible. When you're doing this, you can practice working on your value a little bit. In some areas, closer to the stool, you can press harder, making a nice darker value with your colored pencil. And then as you pull away from the stool, you can slowly ease up on your pressure and create nice light values. This is just a nice opportunity to practice drawing with value, since we are coloring the whole thing with only one color. Don't forget to label your work when you're finished and date it. So there you have it, a negative space drawing of a stool that you will be doing in class. By the way, this is a meeting example. Like I said, you will be doing this exercise in class. But before you come to class, I would like you to practice at home. Pick out a chair in your house that has different negative spaces in it so that you can repeat this same exercise. Draw all of the negative spaces first, very carefully and slowly, and then you may proceed to drawing the outline of the chair. You will be adding to this chair at a later date because it is the beginning of another homework assignment that we will be doing later. But for now, I just want you to have a drawing of the negative space. Please make sure that when you draw this, that you fill the whole page in your sketchbook. If you make the drawing too small or simply off to the corner,
Okay. So, malinaw naman yung negative space, tama? Okay, napaka clear nung pagkaka-discuss ng negative and positive space. Now, ngayon, I want you to see the different examples or parang na-create using negative space from the previous batch, no? Para magkaroon lang tayo ng idea. So, this one, yung mga pinapakita ko sa inyo, these are just examples, no? Pero you could create your own. Not necessarily ang kailangan yung gawin is yung makikita nyo sa bahay. Okay? Now some of the examples dito, nag-create sila ng sarili nilang imagination and then they create negative space. So ito, kung ano yung nasa example, yun yung ginawa, no? Kasi magke-create kayo ng isang negative space, no? So that is the second one, negative space. Ayan. Okay. Tignan natin yung iba. Ito. So yan. Negative space din. Okay? So by the way, no, pwede kayong gumamit ng if you are syempre kung if you have brush, no, pwede niyo gamitin 'yan. Okay? If you have pencil, pwede 'yan. Now in negative space, pwedeng crayons 'yan. Okay? Tingnan natin yung ibang example na hindi sila nag-stick lang doon sa bangko, no? Ito, pinicturean niya pa talaga yung bangko kung saan niya kinuha yung negative space, no? Okay, para may pruweba. Okay, tingnan natin to. Ayan. Chair din. Ito, ang problema dito, hindi naging negative space, no? O hindi pwede yan. This is still negative space, kaso, as you can see, ito, kulang. No? Can we consider this negative space? Hindi. Okay? This is not a negative space. Okay? So, ito daw yung pinagkuhanan niya. Right? Okay? So, this is also correct, no? Okay. So, this is not a negative space. Ayan. Okay. Kaso nalagyan niya ng konting drawing to. Dapat it should be white. Totally. No? Pero, this could be considered. Ayan. No? So, as you can see, no, there is a lot na pwede nyong makita. Ito, double meaning siya, parang dun sa example kanina, yung una, di ba, yung base, no? Ito, could see hands, tapos yung
Pwede
yung
po yun, sir.
Pwede yun, yeah, pwede yun. Oo. Ito siguro fan siya ni Naruto, kaya yan yung ginawa niya. So, nasa sa inyo, no? Okay? So, tignan naman natin yung
Mas maganda po talaga yung negative space, sir, as pencil po.
ang problema mo lang sa pencil, matagal. Pagka idodrawing mo na yung negative space. Yun lang yung problema mo doon, matagal siya. Pero if you're going to use crayon, let's say black crayon, mas madali. So, kagaya naman sinabi ko sa inyo, pwede nyo naman i-combine yon. Pwede kayong mag-combine ng pencil and the crayon. Para at least hindi masyadong, di ba? Mahirap kasi kasi ang mangyayari diyan, pupunuin niyo ng negative space yung kung saan niyo dinodrawing. Okay? So, halimbawa, it's a sketchbook, no? Medyo pupunuin niyo lang ng ano 'yun. Kung lapis yung gagamitin niyo doon, medyo matagal 'yun.
Sir,
Now, let's see some random na ginawa nung
wait po sir, di bawal po talaga po yung digital para po dito?
Pwede. 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 Ito naman mga portrait to na ginawa nila. So yan, no?
Yung sa facial po yan.
Facial, yeah. Facial and portrait. Yan. So digital to eh. Ganap ako nung parang freehand eh. Ayan, freehand. Malungkot siguro to ginawa. Okay? Ito, freehand din. Cartoon style. Okay? Ayan. I think this is digital. So, nagigets nyo naman yung ibig ko sabihin. No? So, pwede yan. Okay? Ito, this is also freehand. Nasa sa inyo. Okay? Now, yung third one na gagawin natin is portfolio. Okay? Portfolio. So, paano ba ginagawa yun? Okay, so,
Sir, sabay-sabay po yung deadline.
Until next week lahat yan. Not this weekend, pero next weekend. Okay? So, balikan ko lang siya. This portfolio is being required talaga. No? Nire-require talaga to in your subject. No? I don't know in other subject, pero last semester, this was already implemented by the department that we have, or you have to do a portfolio every time. No? Okay? Regardless what the subject is, you have to do a portfolio. This will fall under class standing. No? This is 20% of the grade computation. So, since kagaya nga na sinabi ko, I assume that that everyone could submit. Kasi may deadline kami ng pagsasubmit ng midterm grade. That's why, no, I assume everyone has already got a perfect 20%. Okay, so kaya if you could see your grades now, matataas sila. Kasi inassume ko yung 20% is already perfect. Now, I already told you a while ago na sinabi ko nga, your grade is not yet final. Ibig sabihin, if so happen na hindi kayo nakapag-submit ng portfolio for this time or for this midterm, what will happen is mababawasan yung grade na binigay ko na for midterm. Nagigets niyo ba yung ibig ko sabihin? Okay, so maliwanag yun, no? Kasi currently, matataas yung mga grades nyo kasi pinerfect ko na yung 20%. So if ever na until next week, hindi natin nagawa yung portfolio, what will happen is, okay, mababawasan siya ng 20%. So I don't know what would be the output is or the grade will be, pero if, let's say for example, if your grade now is 93, no, there might be a probability na it would go down to 85 kasi malaki yung 20%. The computation of your grade is 60% for class standing, 20% for the portfolio, okay? Then 20% for your midterm exam. So ganun siya kino-compute, no? Ano ba tong portfolio na to? Napakasimple lang nito, kaya nga inassume ko na makakapag-submit kayo lahat eh. The portfolio is just compilation of all what you have submitted. Okay? So yun yun, di ba? So what is the meaning of portfolio ba? Di ba? Portfolio is yung mga ginagawa niyo now, no? Okay, so ganun lang siya. All you have to do is to just make it digital, a clear copy of it. Tapos, you upload it somewhere and create a website. Not literally creating a website from the scratch, no? There are a lot of an application in the internet that would allow you to just click a button and then you already have a website. And from there, you're going to upload all your work. Okay? All you have to send to me is a link wherein I could access it. Okay? So, ganun siya. Now let's have an example. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo itong mga to, prelim pa lang may portfolio na sila. Okay? Midterm, meron din silang portfolio. Okay? Yan. Okay? So, lahat yan, magkakaroon nyo ng portfolio. So, ibig sabihin, no? Comes finals, magkakaroon pa rin ng portfolio yung ginawa nyo after ng midterm exam down to finals. Ang kailangan nyo lang gawin is idagdag yun dun sa portfolio. Okay? Kasi bakit ba natin to ginagawa? Since kasi online tayo, hindi ko nakukuha yung mga ginagawa nyo. Usually kasi, if you are going to submit to me your drawings, nakakompile yan. And that is pinapakita namin sa PACOCOA accreditation. Ang problema, dahil nga online tayo, hindi namin mapapakita yan. Okay? So that's why you're going to create your portfolio virtually, no? So tingnan natin, ano bang ginagawa nila dito? Ayan, so sabi ko nga dito, ayan, no? Upload a random screenshot of the following while you are doing your portfolio, no? So required submission, no? Link the portfolio. Okay? So example is ito. Hindi nyo kailangan yan, yung loading na yan, no? Okay? Yan. So ganito yung portfolio. Actually sa Adobe Spark pwede nyo nang gawin to eh. Yan. Yan. So pinapakita nyo lang kung ano yung mga nagawa nyo. Okay? So mukha ba siyang mahirap? Yes, mukha siyang mahirap, pero trust me, hindi siya mahirap. Okay? Kasi para lang kayo nagde-design, para lang kayo gumagawa ng PowerPoint dyan. Okay? So, yan, no? Now, tignan natin yung mga ginawa nila. Ayan, tignan nyo to. Ang ginamit niya, Google Sites. Okay? So, yan, no? Look at that. May home, prelim, midterm, finals. Tignan natin. Click lang natin. Nag-expire na siguro. Okay. So, hanap pa tayo ng iba. Yan. Ito yung mga ginawa niya, naka-upload. Okay? Hanap pa tayo ng iba yung hindi expired yung link. Ito naman sa Google Sites din, expired din yung link. Kasi this was done already 1 year ago. Ito, tingnan natin to. Sa Wix niya ginawa eh. Ito, yeah. Sa Wix. Yan, sa Wix niya ginawa. Okay? Ganun lang. Okay? So this is already considered as portfolio. So nakalagay dyan kung kailan ginawa. So here's my lab 1, lab 2, activities which are both uploaded last September 6, 2020. So yeah. Okay? So yan, no? So tignan pa natin yung iba para magkaroon kayo ng idea. Ito naman, hindi niya ito yung link. Google Sites din kasi. Expired din. This one, Google Sites din. So, siguro, ang gawin nyo, make sure na kapag ipo-provide nyo sa akin yung link, make sure na itetest nyo kung gumagana sa inyo, ha? Yan. Ayan yan. Ayan, look at this. Meron din siyang portfolio sa iba. Okay, na-required din kasi sila siguro. Okay, so first semester, ayan, no? Midterm. Okay. Then, finals. Yan. As you can see, kagaya ng nakalink sa inyo yan, no? Okay? So, yan. Nagigets ba yung gagawin? So, yan, no? So, you have
Yes po.
2 weeks, no? 2 weeks, no? Para gawin yan. Ito, madali lang to. Parang, PowerPoint. Kasi lahat naman to, sinubmit nyo na sa akin eh. All you have to do is to make it as one. Para halimbawa, if the PACOCOA would ask us what are the output of the student, isasend lang namin yung link and then makikita namin. Makikita nila who did that, kailan sinubmit, at kung ano yung activity. Ayan, no? Finals, Lab 2, Portrait and Facial Expression. Okay, nakalagay doon. Those are the details. Okay, so ilalagay natin yung details. Okay? Question?
Answer.
Question? Wala?
None, sir.
Maliwanag ba yung instruction natin? Okay.
Yes po.
Okay, so wala na tayong magiging live session for this week kasi I already discussed what you are going to do today. So yung dalawang session natin is scheduled for your laboratory activities kasi tatlo yan. No? So magmi-meet ulit tayo niyan Monday. Okay, Monday na. To give yung isa pang requirement natin. So hindi ko pwedeng ibigay kasi lahat-lahat. So pa-konti-konti kasi each requirement I need to discuss. Okay? Now if you have questions, clarifications, no, with your activity, no, just message at the group chat. Tapos I am going to answer it as long as I'm free. Now, you may already start the activity even wala pang nakapost doon sa Microsoft Teams natin. Okay, like for example, if we ended the meeting today and you still have meron ka pang oras, no, hindi ka pa masyadong pagod, no, you may already start this, no. Pwede ka na siguro mag-start sa negative space, no. Hindi naman ibig sabihin kailangan portrait agad eh. Okay? O kaya, you may already search for portfolio, you may already search for different free websites, no? Free websites, domain na pwede kayong gumawa, no? And then yon, pwede nyo nang i-start yan. Okay? Pwede po ba yung digital? Pwede po ba digital yung negative space? Yes. No, yes. Okay, lahat ng activity natin, lahat ng succeeding activity natin after midterm examination is already considered digital. Okay, let me repeat. Lahat yon pwede nang gamitan ng digital. Okay, it so happens lang na I am still accepting freehand kasi nga, okay, not all of us do have a digital tablet. Okay? Question? None? Wala na? Are we clear? Okay, so kung wala na, okay, I'll end our session today. And then, ano to? Sir, dun sa portfolio, kailan deadline? Lahat ang deadline natin is next week until Sunday. Okay? Not this week.
Portfolio, sir.
Week. Lahat yun. Lahat yun. Basta ang portfolio isasama nyo lang, no, is yung portfolio hanggang dun sa bago tayong mag-midterm exam. Okay? Hindi kasama sa portfolio nyo yung gagawin nyo ngayon. Okay? Let me clear that, no? Yung midterm exam natin pababa, those are the laboratory activities that you have to include in midterm portfolio. Ito is for finals portfolio na to. Okay? So hindi nyo muna kailangan isipin at isama ito. No? Yung mga na-submit nyo lang ng previous, yun yung kailangan nyong isama. Okay? Sige, ano yun? Kenneth?
Sir, bali kasama po yung last time na sinend namin. Like yung
Still life po ba, sir?
sa still life. Kasama po.
Still life is already week 6. So, hindi na siya kasama. Okay? So, week 4, ano ba yung last na ginawa natin? Landscape. So, hanggang landscape lang. Okay? Hanggang landscape lang yung gagawin natin. Okay, clear? Clear na? Okay, so kung wala ng question, sige, I'm going to dismiss it. Thank you for attending our class. Pagmerienda na kayo.
Good day,
Bye.
sir.
Good day, sir. Thank you.
Good day po.
Good day po.